What's up? What's up? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, you guys are so kind. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. We are back. We are back. We are back once again. Um, Wait a second. I'm hearing some feedback. Who got kids back there?
That's my sister. I'm sorry. She cussing
Look,
somebody
that's
out.
Tell little Nene go to bed. It's past her bedtime.
No, she ain't even got no damn kids. She on the phone.
Oh, okay. Damn. All right, my bad.
Yeah.
She go to sleep when she feel like it. Anyways,
Yeah.
no, you good, you good, you good. Guys, we're back. We're back for another one. Hopefully, this conversation will be fruitful. It will be very enlightening as well. I'm always excited about learning new things. Look, it's a wonderful time to be alive, despite all of the vicissitudes we're all experiencing today. You got to remain hopeful. And I'm speaking especially to my brothers and sisters in Christ. And I'm not trying to get all preachy with y'all, but if you believe in God, you have some reverence for a higher power. Just be thankful for your basic faculties that you can use every day, because a lot of people don't even have don't even have those luxuries. So I'm glad to be back. I'm sorry, guys. I had a moment, but I'm back. I'm glad to be back here, and I got a couple special guests here joining with me. And you know what, real quick, guys, listen, I love podcasting. I love doing this. This is something fantastic. So it's an awesome venture, but one of the most difficult parts of a part about components, excuse me, of podcasting is that you have to have people that's willing to dialogue. And recruiting people sometimes can be a very difficult task, very arduous. And so to have people such as Miss Jenny and my new acquaintance here, Miss Destiny, come on to the show. I'm humbly grateful, very thankful for you all to take time out carve time out your schedule just to come on here and exchange some free flow of ideas. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
My
really
pleasure.
really thankful, very thankful. Hey Destiny, I'm thanking your ass.
Oh, you welcome. I heard you. I'm sorry. I'm high.
No, you okay? You okay? Okay. Let's do some housekeeping real quick. Who we got in the chisat? We got Donna. How you doing, Donna? Thank you. Guys, shout out to the loyal listeners. Some nights I get it. It's not gonna always be a packed house, but for you guys that's always willing to jump on to unwoke yourselves, I appreciate that. You guys are loyal. Day ones, what you call it. So are you, Neil? What's up, Rock? What's up, DP? How you doing, man? Hope all is well. Would have loved for you to jump on, but I hear from you once or twice a year. We got Miss Cat. Miss Cat is, hey, you're a very special one, Miss Cat. I appreciate you very, very much so. All your insight and your wisdom, I really appreciate you, and your patronage. You're jewel. Oh, Miss Jenny, she says hello, good evening, Cat. All right, that's all we got right now in the house. I'm sure more will come in as we move along. How you guys doing? Talk to me. How was your Thursday?
It was all right.
Busy day, slow day.
I mean, I would have got my nails done. That's about it.
What about you, Miss Jenny? Were you productive, or did you kind of just chill out and kick back today?
Well, I had a very busy day because I thought there was something wrong with my car. So I hadn't been doing my usual errands this week, but turns out there was nothing wrong with my car. And so I had a backlog of errands to run today. So I went to
What'd you
walk
think?
the dog.
What'd you think was wrong with your car? Was it some issue?
I thought my brakes were going bad and
Oh, okay.
looked at it and he was like, there's nothing wrong with your brakes. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe it's my
Well,
heating. And he was
you
like,
know,
no.
women aren't particularly well versed in those in that department, but you know how it goes.
So I just knew that they were going to shut off on me on the highway, but he was like, no, like, they're going to need to be replaced eventually, but
Yeah.
not, they're not that bad. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
went today and so I did, I mean, yeah, I walked the dog. I went to go get some groceries and did some work for my channel and my stuff. And then I went to the gym. So it was a very good day all around.
Fantastic. Good grief. I think I did about a half of what you did in that one day. That's a lot, man. That's a way to take advantage of a full day. For real.
Right.
Miss Destiny, would you have to work today? Were you off?
Oh, yeah, I'm off.
Lucky you. I gotta work. I
Yes.
think I got 8 hours tomorrow. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
will be there tomorrow, so have
back to the
fun.
rat race, right?
I will do bad for you.
I know, right?
Sorry.
So guys, if you saw the thumbnail, we're gonna kind of delve into look, I get it. Sometimes it may seem like I'm rehashing a lot of these things, but I think it's important to shine a light on this because we're nothing more than a small segment, a small little incy wincy corner of the YouTube sector. So although you guys might hear these issues rehashed and repeated, you have to understand that in the grand scheme of things, this message is not really as prevalent as you think. I think more
Right.
people are starting to speak out, and I think a lot of people, particularly people who just are fed up with it all, are just starting to develop a spine and say something about all this because we can't just whistle past the grave like nothing's happening. Um, you can call these things out, and you can do it boldly and honestly. So with all that being said, we are back talking about the issues that are pervading in the black culture in particular. And I think this is going to extrapolate out into what we see in society at large. But what I tend to see more than I don't see, what I tend to see more often is that black people are essentially being psyoped into being the purveyors of a lot of this immorality and depravity that we see happening. And in essence, what I'm saying is that they're being used. They're being used as like the font head of this all this corruption and degeneracy.
Right.
And look, we've gotten to a point in society where shame has become taboo. To shame this unrighteousness, all this degeneracy, and to call it out and to say something is immoral, it's as if we are supposed to just turn a blind eye and there's no such thing as moral law. Even if you have no concept of God or you don't believe in as I believe, I still believe there's a such thing as moral law. I mean, for example, if you step outside and you witness your neighbor torturing his puppy, don't you think there's a moral obligation for you to say something about it? Just speak up and speak against it and call it out. Like, but I think to the degree of what I'm talking about tonight, what you see more often than not is that black people are being used. And I think we're going to try to delve into reasons why you think that's happening. I personally think it's an agency issue. I think that, we don't give ourselves enough credit in regards to our personal responsibility and what we are morally bound to do in the face of, evil. But I don't know. Maybe we'll explore into that a little bit more. But before we do, I got a video and I want to play this little clip. Destiny, can you see the screen? Because I'm about to play it. I'm about to play a clip, and I want to make sure you're able to see it.
I can see it.
All right. So I'm going to play the controversial Charleston White. And look, I don't really lend much credence to everything Charleston White says. I personally think he's double-minded, but he every so often he'll drop a jewel that I think that we can glean a lot from. So let's go ahead and play this. All right, I'm gonna play a little bit. Let me know if you guys can hear it, and if you can, just give me a thumbs up.
How you feel, man?
Oh man, I'm good, man. Yeah, y'all done treated me
Can you
real
hear
well,
it? All right.
man. Yeah, I'm talking about Number Love.
Fair use,
The
fair
red
use.
carpet was rolled out from the hometown crew, man, Detroit boys. So
Yeah.
yeah, you got me here. I had some my friend Lowe, good friend of Dr. O, picked me up from the airport, man. Took me down through there where I can get me some soul food and some starters, some good starters. And then shit, then you come get me and roll out the red carpet. So yeah.
Yeah. So Detroit, MGM. Now the thing that I
Let me fast forward it. It's not where.
Mill was having a concert down there,
All right,
and the things that
here we go.
I
Right here.
tend to think that well, I got this saying. I say that black culture is trash, and the things that we celebrate the most, not necessarily black culture itself, but the things
No,
that
no,
we
no, no, no.
celebrate the
It
most.
is. If you study today's black culture, it's trash.
Why do you say that?
When I look at it, there's nothing positive about
Mm.
it. During Black History Month, you can go from New Year's Eve to Christmas. Nigga, ain't nothing positive about black culture.
Mm.
We're not highlighting spelling bee winners.
Mm.
We don't talk about uh the newest black business that's doing good, and we don't. That ain't highlighted.
Fair use.
When you go on social media and you look at some of the most trending videos and trending topics, it ain't black empowerment. It ain't uplifting black people. Uh, when you look at our movies, we ain't got no mother black hero. I think Django was the last black hero, and Quentin Tarantino gave us him.
Yeah, that's true.
So nah, black culture is trash. You don't have to correct that. Black culture derived from the gutter now. Gutter minded, right? That's what we say. We getting it out. Yeah. Everybody proud to be from the slum, proud to be gangster. We ain't celebrating black doctors. We don't know no black bankers.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think we don't?
Because we propaganda. Propaganda. Black culture has black propaganda. Hitler used propaganda to get the Germans to turn on the Jews. It was propaganda that made it okay for the Jews to be done the way they were done. Uh, White people never used propaganda for slavery. Uh, we use propaganda for our culture. We propagate pimps, we propagate gangsters, we propagate killers, we propagate abusers, we propagate womanizers, uh, robbers, we propagate robbers, we propagate deceit, we propagate uh, being unfaithful.
Hmm.
Uh, nah, homie, we got some propaganda, homie, that's brainwashing. Uh, that we create. We like to say it's the Jewish people, we like to say it's white people, but these show up to these white people and these Jewish people with the lyrics I already wrote.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Show up with this what's in their bag. God, come on in, it makes money. It's business to them.
If you have 5K liquid.
All right. I think that's a pretty appropriate place to stop. Miss Jenny, I'm gonna let you kick it off. What's your initial thoughts to the video, and do you agree or disagree?
I completely agree. It's funny that he mentioned that we don't have any black heroes in movies, and then he mentions Django, which is a fictional character, and
Right.
it reminded me of when Black Panther came out. Now I don't remember if Black Panther came out before or after Django. I want to say it came out after Django, if I'm not
I think it
mistaken.
did. Yeah, I think it was after.
And so if it did, then we actually did have a black hero come out after Django. Because at the exact same time that Black Panther was in theaters, and a lot of people don't know this, but at the exact same time that Black Panther was in theaters, there was another movie in theaters called 1517 to Paris, and it was based on a true story about two Marines who stopped a train bombing in Paris, and they were and one was white and one was black. And not only was it a movie based
Wow.
on a true story about a white and a black Marine who saved a train from being bombed and people being killed, but the actual Marines who did it played themselves in the movie. So we had a black man who
Ooh.
was saving lives and saving the day and being heroic and brave, and he got passed up for Chadwick Boseman in a spandex suit. And it was just so pathetic and laughable that the black community
Wow.
once again has failed me.
Damn. Damn. You know what? I gotta admit my own ignorance here because I never heard of it. I think I might have been just as just as brainwashed as everyone else because the Black Panther was just like the crave. Everyone, you know, they sold that movie like as if the place was an actual real place. Like this is what Black people are really aspiring to be. It's amazing the level of just propaganda, I would say, that was displayed all throughout that time. That's crazy. It was marketed like a mofo. But damn. What was the name of the movie?
It's called 1517 to Paris. And I've never seen it. And the only reason I've seen Black Panther is because someone else took me and she paid for my ticket. But yeah, based on a true story, the actual people played themselves. I mean, it's just, I was so disgusted with the fact that, that they just were so in love with the idea of a Black superhero when there was a real Black superhero among us that got no attention.
Damn. Wow. That is a shame. That is a shame. Destiny, what's your thoughts? What are you thinking about? What you think about the video? You agree, disagree?
I wouldn't say we don't have Black heroes because nine times out of 10 we do. They just don't get promoted as much as the white ones do. That's all. I'm pretty sure we got some, but as far as
why do you think the Black hero? You said so. The ones that we do have, why do you think they're not being promoted?
Shit, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. You gotta ask the motherfuckers who ain't promoting them. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think that's intentional? Like with the example Miss Jenny just gave, like everyone's so focused on going to see Black Panther, they overlooked an actual true story that actually involved a white and a Black man working towards a common goal. You think that narrative was deliberately suppressed?
Yeah, I do.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
And true.
Yeah.
You being a man of God, you know that the love of money is the root of all evil. And
oh my God. Thank you for saying it correctly, because people will say it's money is the root of all evil and object is the root of all evil. It's like, no, the love, that's an action. That's
right.
It's a verb. Anyway,
right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And you're right. People do often misquote it. And so, being that you know that and you know better, I mean, you know that it had to be intentional because Marvel spent, X amount of dollars making that movie. So they had to turn a profit. And that was like tail end of Age of Ultron and the Avengers wrapping up. So, Marvel was basically printing their own money at that point. They and so, people just flocked to it because it was part of the Marvel cinematic universe, and they just wanted to see it. And so it had a lot of backing behind it, in corporate media, and then organically people just flocked to it like moths to a flame. Right. And so the 1517 to Paris movie, it wasn't like a low budget thing as far as I know. I mean, Clint Eastwood made it, and Clint Eastwood, he's a veteran.
Yeah.
In the movie realm, that is. Wow. And so, I just think it just didn't have as much going for it at the time. I think that if it had come out at a different time, it probably would have done better. But because it came out when a Marvel movie was coming out, it had never stood a chance, honestly.
It never stood a chance. Never stood. And what do you think? Why do you think Black people in general, why would we put so much stock into something as fictitious as a Wakanda, but we'll totally ignore the reality of what the reality in general of what we see happening? What I mean is, you hear all of this talk about racism, oppression, and all these things that are holding allegedly holding Black people back. Why do you think it is such grave importance to suppress the truth when the truth is right there in front of our eyes?
Well, because the truth will set you free. And so they don't want us to be free. They want our minds to be in captive and in bondage. And so, like a lot of people, I'm sure half of it was that people just didn't care that there was a real guy doing something real in a movie. They wanted to go see Black Panther. And then half of it was, people just didn't know about it. And so I think that if it had gotten more publicity, then more people would have flocked to it. But it just, it like I said, it never stood a chance against the big conglomerate of Marvel and all the media backing and all the publicity of it and all the funding that went into it. And so they didn't care that another movie was coming out that was actually good and wholesome. And I'm saying a lot about this movie that I haven't seen, so take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. But
well, you said Clint Eastwood produced it, so I'm sure it's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't seen it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I've known about this movie, like I said, since it came out. So why haven't I seen it? But anyway,
have you seen Black Panther?
I have. I saw that in theaters because a friend of mine. But like I said, I didn't buy the ticket. My friend bought it. She wanted to see the movie, so she got me the ticket.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I should see it now that you mention it. So
I should see it too. I'm actually gonna try to carve some time out tomorrow to watch it. It's called what is it? One more time. I know you said it a couple times. What is it called again?
Yeah, it's called 1517 to Paris. I think that was the name of the departure time or something. Like I think that's why they called it that, because that was the name of not the flight, but whatever they call it for when a train is taking off.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out tomorrow because that actually that piques my interest. But back to the topic. What do you think it is about this need to want? Okay, why do you think Black people have given up their accountability? They have relinquished their own will. When I say Black, I'm speaking about those who would fit in this particular the overall theme of what we're talking about. Why do you think that those Blacks find themselves being used and not even and so willing to give themselves up to it? Why do you think that is? Like, so they have they are so willing to be used that they forget that they are in control of their own lives.
Well, it's funny that you say that. I was watching something earlier today, and it was like an interview like this, and the interviewer he kind of asked the interviewee a similar question. He was like, "Why don't more people know about this?" And the thought that came to my mind was that knowledge is cheap, but ignorance is free, and so a lot of people, they just don't want to make the effort into getting the information, getting the knowledge, bettering themselves. Because I think that a lot of people feel like if I know better, then I have to do better. And then people don't want to do better. They're just comfortable being the way they are, having the knowledge that they have, living the life that they're living. And so, and then in the Black community, I don't know if this was something you're going to talk about later, but Charleston White, he mentioned it kind of indirectly about how, we don't talk about Black doctors and Black bankers and Black lawyers. And in the Black community, there's almost like a degradation of a Black person who is striving to be better. And so other Black people see that and they're like, well, why am I going to try to do that so I can be ostracized?
Right.
I'm comfortable with what I know. And if I try to achieve or strive for anything better, I'm going to be a laughingstock. So there's a lot of different things that are kind of working against us, like just natural human nature laziness. And then the fact that in the specific Black culture, it's anti-intelligence. So
anti-intelligence. Okay, so then, wow. So what are some common denominators that you notice in Black culture that we tend to pedestalize, that you objectively would view as self-degrading and not useful for a thriving community? what are some common factors that you see, common denominators that you see that Black people tend to deify or reverence that's not in our best interest?
Gosh, I mean, how much time do you have?
Hey, we got time. We got time.
Where do I even begin with all the time things to glorify? I mean, one of the first things that immediately jumps out to me is this no snitching thing that we have going on.
Oh,
And I mean, I don't know, because I'm not in that, but I feel like it's kind of dying out now. Would you say that? Like
mhm.
it's kind of going away or no?
I don't see it as palpable as it used to be. Well, I mean, there was a point in time where, you know, even in school that was stressed. In high school, you know, my friends would have that, would adhere to that code or whatever. But I don't hear it. I don't hear it as much as I used to, but I don't think it's totally dying out, because I think there's still like a tacit understanding that, hey, if you know someone that did XYZ, you know, you'll be labeled a snitch if you were to go telling them or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know. And I think I the only thing I would say as far as it possibly might be dying out is that Black people are so atomized today. Like, we're kind of atomized and segregated. There's no real cohesion, maybe.
Right. I see what you're saying. So just because the fact that we're not as much of a community as we used to be, then people are like, man, if they're
Yeah.
giving away a reward, you know, for any information about such and such, then heck yeah, I'll tell on you. So,
Man.
yeah.
right. Yeah. What's another common denominator? So the no snitching thing, because that has been problematic for some time now. I mean, think about it. Some of the worst offenders have gotten away with some of the most egregious acts, crimes, because people were, you know, essentially feared. They were feared into not saying anything.
Mhm.
And it was in that code of I don't know, code of ethics or whatever you want. Well, it's not even ethical, but the community would adhere to it and reinforce it once upon a time. So I totally hear what you're saying. But what else what's another common denominator you'd say? Something that we're glorifying that's not for our best interests.
The second thing I would say kind of goes hand in hand with the no snitching, but it's not exactly the same, which is just having a general low level of reverence for criminals, or like respect of the law in general, or not taking people breaking the law seriously in our community. And like what you said is what reminded me of this, about how you were saying like, you know, there are so many people who are still, you know, like free, who have committed, you know, crimes and stuff. And so the first person that I think of is O.J. Simpson. And
Oh my gosh.
everybody knows that he is guilty. Everybody knows that he is a murderer. And everybody knows that he did what they claimed. And Johnny Cochran is a miracle worker, but, you know, thank goodness that he's no longer around.
Oh my gosh.
And the jury was completely like, you know, they intentionally had the people that they had because they wanted to get a non-guilty verdict. And even people today, they'll tell you, like, you know, we don't want OJ to be guilty because of what they did to Rodney King. Because Rodney King and OJ have some kind of overlap. Like, OJ is a rich guy. I thought we were supposed to hate the rich or something. Like, but it's all good because he's black. But, you know, that's the one thing, is that, you know,
right.
so many black people just turned a blind eye to this vicious murderer, bloodthirsty killer, just because he's black. And that's unacceptable. And I'm not going to say that we're the only community who'll do stuff like that, because a white community that I think that does stuff like that is like the Italian. But, you know, we do it a lot, and we still do it to this day. And like we still don't have the full picture when it comes to Tupac and Biggie.
It's like we're willing to forego like all of the damage that they've inflicted on the victims, on people who are impressionable. We're just willing to forego all of that to praise this criminal.
Right.
Like, what is that? Like, what how is that even? I'm not understanding. All because they're black. That let me make sure we're clear. So that's essentially what the That's the only incentive of why black people will support anyone, regardless of whatever crimes they may commit, no matter whatever they may represent to the global ethnic, as far as how they misrepresent the ethnic image of black people. We'll just support it blindly because they're black.
And for another reason that could kind of be its own separate reasoning along with the other two is that it's because they're black and because a lot of black people have an overarching and overly broad distrust of the police. That's another thing.
Mm-hmm. Let me make sure I'm getting so no snitching.
Mm-hmm.
We would you say the second one was?
I guess you could categorize the second one as like soft on crime /
Soft
criminal.
on crime. Yep. And it's funny because now that we have seen the what was it, the what was that campaign, defund the police campaign, that was launched by the blacks, and of course a few white liberals, but now that you're seeing the after effect of all of that in these communities, they need police officers. Like, police officers are the first line of defense, and you're talking about totally removing that barrier between the innocents and the guilty. Like, are you really? I don't understand how is that going to serve your interest to defund the police and to be so soft on crime? I don't understand that. It's like we'll have these black people, you'll see, hold these candlelight vigils, and they'll have these long prayer sessions, and they'll mourn, and when they lose one of their own, but it's 9 times out of 10 is because of another one of their own.
Exactly.
But that's the same behavior that we're championing. So that's the conundrum with me that I'm trying to understand.
We're blinded by hatred when it comes to the police and for past injustices that happen to people who are no longer alive and wouldn't be alive anyway because so much time has gone by. And so we're harboring resentment and bitterness to a group of people that, for one, the police officer who's on the beat today has nothing to do with the police officer 50 years ago who beat up your great-great-granddaddy because he's black. It's irrelevant. And so for you to have a disdain for the police today is crazy, and it's gonna be, and it does a lot more harm than good, because like others have said, when someone breaks into your house, are you gonna call your local neighborhood crackhead? Are they gonna come and save you? Are they gonna right the wrongs? No.
Yep. And that speaks to blacks' overall conduct when they interact with the police officers as well. Sometimes you are the instigator of your own, I'm not saying anyone deserves to be killed. Well, in that instance, if it's not justified, but a lot of times you instigate that. I mean, you instigate your own demise.
Yeah, it's highly preventable.
I mean, like, for example, the George Floyd situation, controversial take. I mean, what are we talking about here? How the hell are we heralding a former drug addict who's had a rap sheet as long as,
talk about it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they make a statue of him? So
him.
Wait, what?
I said they deified him.
They deified him. So if I'm walking down the street with my niece, nephew, my kid, and they ask me, "Who's this guy? Who's this guy, Dad?" Oh, George Floyd. You don't know about George Floyd? Oh, he's a black martyr who died in the name of racial justice, racial solidarity, but in actuality, he was a crackhead.
Right. He's the patron saint of fentanyl, is what he is.
The patron saint of, oh my God.
George Floyd is the epitome of what is wrong with the black community.
Sorry, 1 second. What's up, Tyrone? How you doing, brother?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Oh, you can't hear me.
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
All right, perfect. Thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. Tyrone, this is Miss Jenny. Miss Jenny, this is Tyrone.
What's going on, man? Nice to meet you, man. Gotta connect. I know you reached out earlier. Trying to get the girls to jump on, but not sure.
Oh, what, you guys know each other?
No, the from the experience.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to Miss G. I'm sorry.
Oh
Yeah, yeah, I
I,
did. Yep, I did, man. I appreciate it though. No, it's okay. It's okay, bro. I'm glad you can join. I'm glad you can join. Were you following along in the chat, man? I know we kind of
yeah,
in the
I was
weeds a little bit.
following. I just got in and I was logging in. I was like, see what you got going on tonight, and I was listening to the
Yeah.
conversation the last maybe like uh 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah, we were just talking about a few things, man, that just kind of I think is has been counterproductive in the black community, and we it seems like we got this crazy fixation on of deifying the worst members of the group. And
Yeah.
I was asking Miss Jenny, what are some of these common denominators that you see that black people tend to glorify and pedestalize, that's been to our detriment? I mean, what say you, sir?
Yeah, I've spoken on, I've spoken on some of this stuff. The I think when we started to, you know, praise the criminal, that's kind of where things kind of went downhill. We started to, when the drug dealer became cool,
The drug
and
dealer became cool.
and
Would you say that? Would you say that's like mid 70s, early
yeah, black
six, late 70s,
exploitation,
60? Okay, okay,
black exploitation era. You started getting your Superfly,
yeah.
and the Mac, the pimp was cool. You know, for
Oh,
decades later, the Mac was sampling in a lot of our culture.
mm-hmm.
Um,
And you know
yeah,
what? Real quick, man, that just reminded me of something about the Cat Williams interview. That's just, oh God, that's a whole. We could do a whole nother show on that. But I just wanted to say this. I find it ironic that Cat Williams is calling out, these other actors that are willing to, sell their soul or whatever they saying, and perform all these rituals and do all of these lewd acts, whatever. I find it rich that he would be so quick to expose these guys, yet he's the one that didn't he play like a pimp role in Next Friday?
yeah.
So you would take that
Mike
role,
was a
but
yeah,
you would excoriate the man as well wearing a dress. It's
yeah,
double minded.
And
yeah.
he's the
That was kind of his comedy shtick for a minute too. Pimp down. You know,
But he was
but
an actual real pimp in the show, in the movie, right? Like he had women
well,
and the whole
well,
thing, right?
yeah. It wasn't really. I don't know if he wanted to be one. He portrayed one. I'm not sure if he was like a full
I
on.
mean, can't that logic be applied
Yeah,
to all the
yeah.
rest of these dudes running around in dresses? They didn't want to
Well,
be one, they just did it.
well,
They signed up. It's a
that
choice,
like
man. We got to
what
start
what
making
what what
excuses, man.
well, to me, the whole Hollywood group, I don't count them as us anyway. Like I don't wear what they do as
Yeah.
black people. That's a whole nother weird ass segment of society. I don't wear a lot of stuff that we do actually.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm there on in some part what y'all were talking about. I'm with in some parts. I'm not as hard on some instances like the George Floyd thing. Um, I'm not on the total right wing part of it where it's like we deserve to die, and they kind of gloat about it. I'm not on that because to me
Wait, wait, wait,
that
wait,
whole
wait, wait, wait.
that whole situation.
Who
I'm not
said
saying
that?
you.
Who said no,
No,
no, no, no? I'm not me, but I'm saying you heard like conservatives say that he deserved to die.
oh yeah, well, or they'll downplay it like he's no king. He asked for it. He was a criminal. He was no
Hmm.
what. And my take on it. This is my take on that. Okay, so this is complicated, and it takes thought, and people don't think anymore because they choose a side, and
Hmm.
then they just disregard the other side. So with black people in that part, so the civil rights movement. So go back to slavery. Okay, slavery was we had to they had to decide that we're human beings. Okay, we're human beings. but you're not real citizens. And so then you go through Jim Crow, you're not real citizens, second class citizens, go to civil rights. Okay, we're going to be civil towards you, meaning we're not going to just beat you outright and it's okay. And we're not going to spit on you if you want to eat our bland food at the cafe. Why do you want to go to the bland food cafe? But if you do want to go eat the Karen food, we're not going to beat you up. We're going to be civil. All right. So that's what that was. This phase is complicated. This is the phase where you got to treat our assholes the same as your assholes, right? So George Floyd may not have been a king. He may have been a bad dude. Mike Brown may have been an asshole kid. I teach middle school kids. I teach kids. A lot of times they're jerks. They're not good people at first. They have to grow into that. So you don't get to just put your knee on somebody because they're high. And even if he was just overdosing on a drug, put your knee on his back for that whole time. That's not helping him. That's not helping anything, So I think that's what that is like, because if I'm wearing a suit and tie and I'm conducting myself right, I'm gonna be okay at a police stop. I believe that for the most part, I'm being okay. But if I'm being a jerk, send me to jail. Let me get my charge. You don't get to shoot me, because sometimes when we get shot, they go, well, he didn't act right. He deserved it. And it's more of it's us like, oh, you can shoot him because he didn't act right. So kill him. It's
So,
okay.
Miss Jenny, what's your response, rebuttal to anything Mr. Tyrone said, and then I'll respond after.
I think that he's making a good point that we don't want to just get so gung ho and say that, any guy, black or white, that just starts mouthing off at the police deserves to get a bullet in the head. And so you are right about that. And so, but when it comes to this George Floyd situation specifically, I feel like one of the biggest things about it was the fact that it was portrayed as a murder when in reality it was an overdose. So what Derek Chauvin did may not have helped him, but at the end of the day, he did not kill him. And so it's not only.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish.
I was just going to say that not only was it preventable in the fact that Derek Chauvin should have never even had to show up in the first place because he shouldn't have been trying to pass off a fake $20 bill, but so therefore he didn't have to die in that regard. But he should have never had to die in the first place because he should have never been high on drugs. And so it's just a lot of dominoes that fell to where.
And that's kind of my point. So if he doesn't put his knee on his back where everybody's like, hey, what's going on? And he like at least pretend to try to help the guy with the overdose, then this never even happens. So I still put a lot of it on Derek Chauvin. And it's still kind of, the overdose or the fixation, that's still kind of it's a fact depending on who you are. Like I don't know. I'm in the camp that I don't really know for sure, but I think the people who had there's so many different agendas when it comes to this stuff too.
Do you think it's in the best interest for society to soften to be soft on crime? Do you think it's in the best interest of our society at large to be soft on crime?
So what do you consider soft on crime?
For instance, like I think in California, they've relegated a lot of felony charges to misdemeanor charges now. And I think aggravated assault was reduced to from a felony to a misdemeanor. So essentially they're just diminishing they're getting rid of the consequences of these crimes and reducing them to, more like just petty crimes, right, to alleviate the jail system so more people can be released. I mean, that's their rationale behind it, but they think it's this fallacious notion of mass incarceration. I think that they're lessening the crime. What do you want to call it?
Oh, okay. So it'd be like shortening sentences, making things misdemeanors when they're felonies.
Yeah, I mean,
So as far as that, again, I think
And also, let's not forget the defund police
Yeah. So
campaign.
I heard y'all talking about that, and I have a take on that. But I'll respond to the soft on crime. I think with that, I think a lot of people don't read and don't think for themselves. So I think it's easy. I get nervous when I hear people say just soft on crime. I look at the case by case. What are they being soft on? Is it just modernizing the laws, or is it like take with me marijuana? Um, if it's like a non-violent crime, I may be okay with softening it, but assault, no. Assault should be a consequence. You can't go around damn hurting people, hitting people, killing people. You need to go to jail. You need to be in jail.
What
But
about
just like
what about drug distribution?
jail, your ass gotta get locked up.
Mm,
Like especially like hard drugs. That's
yeah.
damaging. I have no sympathy. I have very little sympathy for drug dealing gang because growing up, I knew drug dealers. Most of the drug dealers I knew didn't have to be drug dealers. They were just impatient. They were
Mm,
impatient. They didn't
yeah.
want to go the route, and some of it was ignorance, not knowing, bad education. That's a thing. I'm in education. I know some schools are just crappy, and the education not equal in the country. It's just it is what it is. But like when I tell kids, at some point nobody's gonna care about your excuse or your struggle. At some point, like when you become a man, nobody's gonna look at you and think, "Hey, well, what did he go through?" You got to
Mhm.
handle your business. So no drugs. They've tore the community up. It's just I have no sympathy for that at all. I
Yeah.
hate people rapping about it. I hate the glorification of it. Um, no, yeah, I
Okay.
just and that's why when people talk about the crime bill and they say, "Oh, well, they talk about Bill Clinton and Biden." People forget black people begged for the crime bill because crime was
Mm,
horrible.
there you
The
go.
black community begged for it because
That's
crime was
true.
horrible. And
Yep.
now years later, you don't take, you don't own up to it. You wanted it, because people were selling crack and people getting shot for starter jackets, and
Exactly.
we're begging for it. So
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, but the now defund the police. Um, my thought on that was so after George Floyd, something weird happened. People actually, if you remember, it was a short little moment. If you think back afterwards, people were actually coming together. White people, black people, conservative, liberal. I went to several rallies. I was down in Charlotte, super peaceful. Love, everybody was like, wow, okay. And then all of a sudden, people started offering weird stuff that black people never asked for. Black people didn't ask for don't fund the police. That was not a request from the black community.
Mm.
Okay. This was people start talking about you can't say master bedroom. You had white people in Congress kneeling in kente cloths. I've not one black person asked for that shit. Aunt Jemima leaving, not one black person asked for it. This is my tin hat theory here.
Hmm.
Okay. When they don't want you to come together, they know how to gaslight. If y'all do that stuff, and now the conservatives are going to say, look at them. They're doing too much. Yeah. And now we're not coming together no more.
Mm.
If you remember the George Floyd protests, this just went away. Remember there was a white guy who was walking around busting the windows out, and everybody was like, yo, what do you remember that?
Um,
In the very beginning.
are you talking to was the guy's name Tempe Tony Tempa? That
I
guy?
don't know. Nobody ever knew his name. It vanished from the media. They were having a protest. He was walking around, busting out windows. He was dressing all black. And
Mm.
then they started having pallets of bricks in the city. And people like, where the hell these bricks come from? It was look it up. It was some wild stuff.
Hmm.
Down here in Charlotte, they were having a protest, and it wasn't a riot, okay, because people don't like to call people gathering a riot. It was a protest, and they started busting the windows of the food line out. All hell breaks
Hmm.
loose. Now we
Right.
got a riot, right? So
Yep.
And the people who were busting windows didn't look like us. They didn't look like us. They didn't.
Oh, you're saying that they had somebody sent someone in to masquerade
Look,
as a black
look at all the
person
right,
breaking windows.
the anarchists, the Antifa people. How many Antifa people look like us? They fly in when stuff happens. Those people fly in and get busy and
Hmm.
raise hell. And now, the black people, the blacks, they're going, the blacks, all you do is riot. Ooh. Now,
Hmm.
once it gets started, now the hood will run into Target and get some TVs. Now that's going. Once
Yeah.
they get it going, yeah, somebody's gonna grab a Vizio. But
So
look at
what
the
do you think
Black
about all
Community
of
selling
these?
stuff.
What you think about all of these? Actually, you know what? I'm a follow with my question. Miss Jenny, I'll let you respond to whatever he was just talking about, and then I'll ask the next question.
Um, yeah, it's a good thing that you mentioned also that, it's usually not the black people who start that kind of stuff, but they do follow along behind it because Antifa is just primarily like white liberals. And like the white liberals were the ones who were, kneeling with the kente cloths and talking about defund the police. And it seems like the black liberals just kind of seem to follow behind as if
Mhm.
like, oh, like this is what we're doing now. And so I guess we're just going to continue to do this and
Yeah.
not
Mhm.
think about it and give it any pushback. So yeah, I think that if someone were to say like, oh, the black people they were just uprooting the country, and it's like, well, it wasn't just us, there
Hmm.
were white liberals played a much more significant role in it, if you say.
Right. And that's
Because when I look at Carl Rittenhouse and that whole situation, it was all them running around playing Rambo. They,
oh,
they,
you-
they just went wild. It was like, it's our time to use the Second Amendment. Let's go. It was such foolishness.
well, I mean, that situation is a little dicey. I mean, because ultimately, I mean, I saw the case, and I believe it was self defense. You know, based upon that interaction he had with the other guy, and the video footage and all the other evidence that corroborated that. But
Yeah, I
uh,
just mean the overall, all of them being there.
yeah, yeah,
Why the
yeah.
hell are
So
y'all here?
they just you saying that
Y'all
they
don't care
just
about
yeah.
black people getting killed by police. Y'all out here, y'all ready to use the
But
Second
that's
Amendment.
that's
Y'all
the
ready
thing
to.
that's what really just bewilders me is like why when a situation like that occurs is there no moral outrage from the black community at large? Like why aren't you hearing, you know, the blacks who would stand against this or would, you know, at least explicitly make it known to the public, hey, this is not us, this is what we stand for, you know. And I'm not saying that we're a monolith, but you didn't see many blacks coming out and speaking against it. It was almost like they spent more time defending um, the justification behind the actions. And
Like,
when I mean,
I didn't see. It seemed like when it all went down, black leaders overall on all sides just kind of vanished.
yeah,
Because everybody was just
yeah,
kind of trying to figure out their agenda. Because it's the agenda. Nobody
yeah,
really cares about issues. If you're a conservative, it's like, and when George Floyd first happened, it was like, that looks bad. I don't know, because my side doesn't really rock with speaking against police. And then it was like, and then it was just people just go to their side, and it's like, what's your agenda? And I believe black
also
people should be.
why was that an
Um,
indictment against all police officers though? Police officers though, like why is a isolated event like that? It almost kind of just reinforced in the minds of many black people who already had a disdain for the police. It just
yeah.
reinforced to them that this is all has been happening for years, and it's not. That's far from the truth. I mean,
Well,
these situations occur, but they're not as statistically prevalent as that black people would want to believe.
yeah. So I think it's a couple of things. So I think has it happened? I think it in a lot of communities it has been an issue. So like for me growing up, I've had several instances in my gray beard life where I call it the bad police lottery. Okay, I've hit the lottery
Mhm.
a few times and got a live one, you know. And so when and I didn't get killed, but it's the behavior. Like when I was in college, had a cop pull me over and say I was a suspect in a robbery. It was a car full of us, we're college students. And he threw out boy a couple of times in a 1922 kind of way. And so one of my boys said something. I was like, shut up. He said something. Oh, you're smart. You throw all my stuff in the canal and had us on the ground. I didn't get killed, but that was shitty treatment.
Do
So
you think?
so
But okay, I got you. Shitty treatment. Would you call that a racist incident?
the way he was saying boy kind of made me feel it was like I don't think he would do this to
Like a
me. So
condescending asshole, perhaps?
nah, so I don't know. You ever hear? So I don't know where you're from, but I'm from North Carolina. I'm from the South, and there's a
From
certain
Michigan.
boy that you it's dipped in racism sauce. It's like it's not like hey boy. It's like it's a certain racist boy. And your hands stand up on the back of your neck and you feel it.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if you ever felt it. I don't know if you
No, I'm
haven't.
not. I'm not. I'm
Congratulations.
not
It's awesome.
negating. I'm not negating that might have been a racist incident. All I'm simply saying is this false projection that this is occurring more often than it really actually is my issue. Is like a
Yeah.
lot of the times we're so quick to our knee jerk reaction is to call something racist, a racist interaction between a black and a
Oh
black
yeah,
and white
yeah,
man,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what my issue is.
Yeah, that's true. So now, all I know is like James Baldwin. All I know is any time that I had those incidents, it was well, no. One time it was a black because sometimes black cops can.
Can be the
Some of them
worst.
will, yeah, because they trying to get down with the crew. So I get
Oh,
nervous with them too. But
the good
and
old
then
boys.
sometimes
Oh
and
my
sometimes it's just people who just want to abuse power, and it's not racism, but so it's like this. So say you are an asshole, you become a cop, you want to abuse people because that's who you are. You got bullied as a kid. What group what group in the society do you feel you're likely to get away with being an asshole with? Because because it's seen they get seen getting away with it. It's probably black people because that's who the media portrays getting beat up by police. So you're going to target those people. You say I can do that to them because we always get away when we mess with them. So it's kind
Every
of it gets ingrained in some people's heads,
yeah.
and it may not be that he's a racist Klan redneck, but it just may be I'm an asshole cop, and I think it's easier to get away with being an asshole cop with this group of people versus this group of people.
Okay. Miss Jenny, you want to chime in?
Um, I feel like I feel like the information that you're saying is not invalid. It's just outdated because I feel like any police officer who is of any intelligence can read the current room of the society that we're living in and would know that black people are the least people that you want to mess with because they'll pull out their phone in a second and just claim racism for anything.
Right.
You know,
Well,
you have
well, well the last 5 years, I'll say, yeah, that's changed, and I'm glad that's changing because it hasn't been that long though. I wouldn't say it's been that long of it being outdated. So because that's just the maybe 2008 the iPhone comes out. Maybe I'll give it maybe like a couple years after that, where more people got phones to start recording when things happen. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think recording the police is a bad thing. 'Cause if they're not doing anything wrong, then you're gonna look at it like y'all were saying and say, oh, that's nothing. But if something is wrong, you know, let's get it right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look, record by all means, but my issue is when your conduct is non-compliance. Especially if it's something that's frivolous as, hey, look, you got a traffic light, can I see your license, registration, whatever. You want to go
Mhm.
the sovereign citizen right, fine, whatever.
Well, that's
Dig,
extreme. Yeah,
dig your
yeah.
own ditch,
I hate
right. But
those
my
people
thing,
too.
yeah,
That's some
my thing
weirdo
is,
shit.
what's so difficult in just following the commands, not acting irrationally, I mean erratically, and just and keeping a cool, calm, level head. And I don't understand. Like, I have been pulled over. The very first time I ever received my ticket was from a black officer, and I tip generally present myself in a pretty calm, cool, collective, cordial, respectful manner. So I try to deal with people, show due respect. But hey, he had to do his job. He had to give me a ticket because I was clearly in the wrong. Anytime I would go out, anytime I drive anywhere, and I knew that my insurance had lapsed or some issue, I know that there is a reason why they stopped me. 9 times out of 10, there is a reason why I'm being pulled over. Now I can try to, pretend like I don't know and assume this is a racist stop. I can do that, and psych myself out of what I already know, the reason why I know they stopped me. But 9 times out of 10, these people know they're in the wrong. They're attracting that attention.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the exact number where it's 9 out of 10 or the number, but yeah, I think everybody should comply. Everybody should stay calm. But again, um, getting pulled over, everybody doesn't get pulled over by the police all the time. Some people freeze up. Some people get really nervous and make the situation weird. Because it's just like I was in the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before we went for my first deployment, everybody's like, "Yeah, hell yeah, we're going to war, woo!" And I'm like, "Bro, I was trying to get job bill money. All right, let's go." I was just being real. I went, but I was
I
not.
hear
I
you.
was not. I was not that patriot rah rah. I was like, "Oh shit!"
Hey, thanks for your
It went.
service.
It went down when I was getting my GI Bill money. You got me. But
You go.
but people were like tough guys. We're gonna be calm. We're gonna be cool. The first time we got into some combat, some of the most hardcore guys who were like, "Be calm, do this," froze up. Had to slap them to get them to unfreeze. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people, you can tell people, "Hey, be calm." Okay. Do this when you got police. Hey, be relaxed. All right. But people have been watching the media. And I agree with it doesn't I don't think that black men are being hunted down. I hate people say shit like that because
Mm-hmm.
that's bringing more fear. So now when people do get pulled over, they freeze up. Okay. They
Do you
don't know what to
think? Do
do.
you think? Do you think that just the overall sentiment in the black community is that there shouldn't be anything to fear with regards to police officers? Like, do you think that what is the overall sentiment in regards to law enforcement with most black people today? You think?
Most black people I know are, including me, are cautious. Of course, you be cautious, be respectful. Just get through it. Do what you gotta do. Get through it. Don't do anything
Mhm.
stupid.
Yeah.
That's why I always tell people if they shoot me, burn it down because I did not do anything crazy. I am going to be attended to. I'm going to ask whether I can move. If they get me, burn it down because they were
Right.
wrong. like because I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be disrespectful to the cops.
Mm-hmm.
One, I got love for cops. I know cops. I got relatives who are cops. I think more black people should be cops. If you don't like cops, be a damn cop and be a good cop. You know,
Be the
a
Okay.
lot of times with black people, I say they say, "Oh well," I was having a conversation about it's not related really, but about appraisers. I was like, "Well, get some damn black appraisers and be good appraisers." Like just get in the field and be good at it. You know, pretend it's basketball. Take that shit over and be good at it. You know.
Okay. Um. So just to kind of go back to the topic, real quick, Jimmy, Miss Jenny, do you want to say something? And then I was gonna segue to another little part here.
Just jumping off of what Tyrone said, that yeah, you have to be the change that you want to see, and I think that is actually the right attitude to have because when it comes to talking about problems, whether it be about policing or just the black community in general, at the end of the day, we have to talk about solutions because it's not
Mhm.
good enough just to talk about what's wrong, but how are we going to
Thank
fix
you.
it? And so when it comes to most things, pretty much everything, it starts with you. And so if you are tired of the buffoonery that you see in the black community, okay, well, you be an upstanding black person. If you're tired of seeing bad police officers, then why don't you go to the police academy? And so all the different things that you see, if you can fill in that spot and be the change that you want to see, then you should do that because you can't control anybody else.
Well
Right.
said. Well said. I
Right.
totally agree. Man, perception is a real thing. I still to this day make sure I hold open doors. Thank you. You're welcome. Try to exude this positive, respectful image of myself because I know I'm a black man. So whatever preconceived notion that people are going to have, I'm going to be sure to, not prove them wrong, but I'm going to present myself in a manner that might be contrary to what they already think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So far we talked about no snitching, the glorifying the criminality, soft on crime. I want to segue, and Tyrone, I want you to kick this one off. What do you think? And one other thing, guys, before we close out, I'm going to go down this list of everything we talked about, and I want you guys to just give me in a short, succinct what response as far as a solution. Like, what do you think a good, viable solution is to these factors that we see? The next issue I see is happening. The children out of wedlock. What's your thoughts on that, Mr. Tyrone? I mean, interpersonal relationships between the black man
Mm-hmm.
and black women today, we see it's
Sheesh.
in worse condition than ever before.
Well,
We are,
freaking dumpster fire.
yeah, I know, yeah, it's a cesspool out there now as far as the dating arena is concerned. But um, I don't know. I see that this gap between the black male and the black woman and the black man is just widening increasingly, and I don't know if we're going to constantly, if we're just going to end up on our side and the women stay on their side. If it's just going to be like that, we're just going to gradually move in that direction, or we could turn this ship around and come together and start to rebuild families again. But in
Mm.
regards to the children out of wedlock, what do you think, or what's your thoughts on the initial thoughts about that, and then we can expound on it from there.
Um, yeah, I think it matters. I definitely don't. Some people kind of brush it to the side. Um, Children need parents. They need two parents. They need a father. Um, yeah, and that goes all the way back to I take you're a more conservative guy. That goes way back to the welfare state and all of that. They you know got the man out the home. Um, and then it was on from there. We just been s- struggling from that. Um, uh, but the men and women thing right now, it makes me sad. Especially the young people. There's a lot of hostility. There's a lot of gaslighting. I think people forget that you only need one person. Like like I see a lot of men looking at like these internet women who are on these panels that they're finding for clicks and excitement. But there are
Mhm.
a lot of regular women who the kind you want, you got to log off the internet and go find them. You're not going to find them on the red pill panel because those women aren't the ones you want. The ones they talk about aren't the ones you want. Same thing with women. There are a lot of great guys. We got to stop looking for the same like 4% of men, I guess, and you know, it just
Oh, you
it,
said
it's just
4%
it
of
just
men.
it just get. I mean, these it's getting weird where people want like, well, my man talked about high value and people just lost their minds. You
Yeah.
know, hey, look,
Hmm.
I'd rather be a good man than a high value man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think with men, we've gotten away from discipline. All right, so the idea that if you're a successful man, you get to have your pick of the litter, and somebody just got to deal with it. That's immoral. It's undisciplined. Like I got my pick. I can go to McDonald's every day and get a Big Mac. I love
Hmm.
ribs,
Right.
but they kill me. They make my cholesterol high and give me diabetes. Too
Hmm.
many women do the same thing. A lot of people are, a lot of my brothers out here are, we're losing our discipline. And then
Hmm.
when people look at it, Now it's poor leadership who wants to follow you. Then you complain about it. It's just a big, it's a big cycle of
So what are we
foolishness,
gonna do with
man.
all these babies? These children that don't have fathers. First of all, do you believe that the deadbeat dad narrative still is prevalent today? Do you think it's like a large swath majority of men are having children out of wedlock and just abandoning them?
I don't see it. I don't think so. I think that's the hype. I see because I hear that media wise. I hear that narrative, but so I teach. I'm a teacher. When I got in the military, I got into education because I had crappy teachers growing up. So again, I said I'm gonna be a teacher and be a good teacher. But so I see good dads. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, I see a lot of good black dads.
Yeah.
Like kids act up. I call it dad. The kid is right. And so I don't know. It's making me kind of question. And in my circle of people, I see a lot of good dads. I
Right.
don't see a lot of deadbeat dads. I do see
Mhm.
a lot of single parents. But truth be told, if you look at the stat of white people, it's growing with them too. There's a lot of
Mhm.
There's a lot of white kids too. That's kind of growing, But
Mhm.
we don't talk about that because we a lot of times we feel like they got it great because we're struggling with something. But so I don't know about the deadbeat dad being as big as people think. There is some. I think a lot of times we pick the worst of our culture and we magnetize it, and we just beat ourselves to death with the worst of us. When a lot of us are doing better, you know,
Mhm.
we're black people doing better. We've had a lot of progress, man. We
I agree.
we don't talk about our progress. We've gotten this because there are people who have this agenda where if you talk about progress, they'll go broke because we always got
Mhm.
to be struggling in the worst of everything. But we're doing pretty damn good, man. We're not doing as bad as people think or people
Yeah,
say.
it tend to be the loudest voices in the room that aren't really necessarily representative of like the vast swath of the population. Like they're not indicative of just the average person. You know what I'm saying? But that's how, like you said, just take a small cadre of people and you just blast them across the internet waves, and somehow or another, this is, you know, their issues become the vast population's issues, and it's like that's not the case. And we reshape. It's almost like we reshape and want to restructure society based upon a small minority
Right.
of people. And unfortunately, these people have a hell of an influence on a lot of people because there is a silent majority out there. And I for a stint time, I would turn a blind eye. I didn't think it was necessary to even chime in on these issues. I had a basic opinion. I had my thoughts about things, but I'm like, um, it's better to at least try to have a conversation because you just don't know, you know, uh, how far people have just gone astray from just basic moral decency because
Mm,
what they're seeing today and what's being portrayed in the media is almost like, okay, I see more and more people who share my reflection, emulating this than what I see that I'm doing, which is, providing for my family, things like that. Like that's not being championed today, especially in Black America. You don't see like the doctors, the lawyers, and things like that. We seem to
mm.
excoriate and excommunicate our high achievers. But what say you, Miss Jenny?
Yeah, I mean, I think that both of you are hitting the nail right on the head in the fact that, we just have a culture that does not take, um, merit seriously. That we don't have a society that thinks that it's of, high importance to, be a scholar or to be well read. Like just today, I saw a post on Instagram where a teacher, and I don't know if the teacher was black or white, but she had a list of words that you couldn't say or phrases that you couldn't say in her classroom. And it was all
Oh, I
popular
saw that.
black slang. Oh, you saw that too?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like that and period and, standing on business or all the different,
Oh gosh.
that's out
Oh,
right now. And
yeah.
people in the comments, that it was on Twitter, and they were like, "Oh, this is so anti-black. Oh, this is so, this is so racist. Why is she talking down to all the black students?" And it's
Oh
like,
no.
why is ignorance
What?
in this
That's
black community?
what?
And
The standing on business has been taken over by white people for months. There's all those words. That's not black. That's
And
foolishness.
some people in the comments, they were like, "Well, isn't she a teacher? Isn't that the whole point of going to school is to learn how to speak correctly? So why would a teacher allow you to speak incorrectly in her class? Doesn't make any sense."
Right.
And so, of
Yeah.
course, some voices of reason, but just so many people were like, "Oh, this is just so anti-black. This is just another, phase of white supremacy and all this stuff." And it's just like, it's
Uh,
not good enough
yeah.
that
That,
glorify ignorance, but we make it so the fact that anyone who tries to demonize it, they're seen as demonizing black people.
Hmm.
And
There you
so it's
go.
crazy. And
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
That's
going
Yep.
back to the
that's
original
crazy.
question about, baby mothers and things like that, um, there's a lot of enabling that's going on. And so people, they don't want to offend the women who are already single mothers, and so they soft shoe it, and so they coddle them, and by not using the hard abrasive language that needs to be used when talking about that, if you're a single mother who is not a widow but you're a single mother by choice, it's the fact that you played the whore, and the fact that it is shameful, and it is you're dishonoring yourself, you're disrespecting yourself, and you should not do that, and that you need to take better care of yourself. It's irresponsible, it's immature, and using all this language, we're so interested in coddling the women who are already single moms that we're not scaring the women who could be single moms out of that lifestyle. And so when we have all these initiatives and when we have all this talk about single mothers are great, single mothers hold the country together, single moms, they're the best thing ever and all this stuff, and they've hijacked Father's Day. And so now these new women who are coming up, women my age and younger, they're like, yeah, if I get pregnant, I'll just get on EBT and I'll get on WIC and I'll do that. I'll, get my free daycare and, it'll be all right. And it's like, no, it's not all right. It's shameful and it's a disgrace. We need to go back to shame language.
Oh my God. Woo! Jenny just dropped a bomb. Tyrone, Mr. Tyrone, man. I saw your face, man, when she was saying some of that, man. Your body language. I don't want to I don't want to misinterpret anything, but what was your thoughts? I want to hear your
No,
response to
I'll
what you
just
said.
take it in. Because I'm actually I'm not opposed to shame. I think shame needs to make a little bit of a comeback. Just
Okay.
in many different ways, man. Because I'm not with the anything goes. I'm not with
Okay.
having damn individual truths. What the hell is an individual truth? Just
Oh,
doesn't
my
make
truth.
sense.
My
I
truth.
ha- I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
There's only one truth.
No
One
such thing
objective
as your
truth. Right.
truth. The hell is your truth? Your truth is BS. That's what it
Yep.
is. So
Living
yeah.
your best life. Living your best life.
Now I do believe if so. There's one thing if we believe something. Now I think if you want to reach people, okay, um, just I learned this from my mom. You have to have a spirit to you if you really care about helping people. When you're helping people and you're giving them the truth, you gotta do it with love. I think that's something that's gone away too. Everybody wants to go so hard on everybody. We gotta learn how to actually love each other, man. Like it sounds corny, but at one point we had a community that like kind of we love each other. Even like if that girl got pregnant, yeah, that was shame. What the hell you doing? All right, now go down south. All right, what I'm saying, get yourself together. But it wasn't acceptable. Okay,
Hmm.
but we did things with a little bit more love. Now everything is like, we gotta call everybody names and we gotta, it gets kind of juvenile on the waves here. I just look at different channels and they start with great discussions and all of a sudden it ends up being like a name calling fest. I'm
Hmm.
not with that. That's how my channel. I said, well, I'll just try to do a channel where we have conversations and we don't do that shit. And if nobody listens, I'll talk to myself for years and that's not, but but I just, and we got a little bit of following, but
I don't know, Tyrone. I hear what you're saying. On a personal level, I think that yes, you should have a little bit more discernment when you're talking to somebody. You want to reach them on that level, but I just think publicly, I think there should be a general consensus about what a code of ethics that we should follow and adhere to, and not afraid to reinforce. I think the Molly Coddling language, the political correctness, the woke stuff. I think that's just gotten us into this convoluted, scared to tell the truth sort of paralysis, and we're not being honest with each other. And I think that
yeah,
one of the most what do you want to call it? First line of defense once upon a time was the church. The church was not afraid to call this stuff out, but now they've gone along with the narrative as well. I mean, they're opening their gates to it. I mean, single mothers are the cash cows of the church today, and they're not only that, they're inviting all sorts of degeneracy into the pews. So my thing is, I think that I don't think that when you're having a dialogue with someone, you're actually genuinely trying to understand their perspectives and all that, and employ a little empathy. There's nothing wrong with that on a personal level. But when you're talking about this at large, there should be a degree of shame, because this is something that this is our overall ethnic image that we're putting out into the world. And if we're openly saying that this is okay to where we're sponsoring it on TV, and it's heralded in society to the point where little teenage girls are aspiring to be whores like Sexy Red. I mean, what do we do at that point? I mean, because you can't put your hands on them.
yeah, it's I don't know what the hell's going on, man. I see that influence every day, and it's I don't know. It's like they look up to that stuff, man. But I will say, I have had a lot of instances where young ladies kind of have been like, even some of the kids, it's getting to the point. Some of the kids even kind of looking like, damn, this is not. So
Right.
I don't know how it's even like they're like, damn,
Right.
she cool, but
Yeah, the kids are repulsed by it. It's like, wait a
hey,
second. Okay, I'm not going to do that.
they're like, please tell me another perspective. You can see them like, I'm like, oh, good,
Yeah.
okay, maybe it's not completely over. I mean, I
Yeah.
have had those moments because we've got some of our kids are good, man. Like we dog our kids out. I hear a lot of times, but I'm in the trenches with them every day. There's some good kids out here that are coming up. There's some that make me a little scared for the future and make sure I don't need to be in a nursing home one day. But
Oh, damn.
but but we do have some good children, man, that I think have some bright futures. So that's why I say somebody's raising kids okay. Now some of them are not. Well, there's a subculture, and I call it a subculture because I consider Black culture us and people in my circle. We're not all that. I think it's more of us than people than them. It's more of us than them.
Yeah.
I'm counting the numbers in everyday life, and I'm like, yeah, it's more of us. We just gotta start speaking up more.
Hey,
Like
there you
it's
go.
like when you see kids, say something to them. I see a kid with their pants down in Walmart. I don't give a shit. Hey man, come here. Look at that pants up. And most time they look at me and know what they do?
But Mr.
They pull
Tyrone,
their
my
damn
favorite.
pants up.
But Mr. Tyrone, well, what if you get the one that says, "Mr. Tyrone, my favorite rapper dressed like this"?
Where's he at?
Making
Where's he at?
making
What's he doing
millions.
for you? Yeah, and where are you at? You in there Walmart. Put your damn pants up. All right. And most time they
Right.
pull their pants up,
Yeah.
It's just a little logic goes a long way.
Yeah.
Because their kids, their brains aren't developed yet. And so,
Mhm.
but if you're scared, and we're scared to talk to our children, then I feel like that's on us. Like when people tell me about children and they're scared to speak to a kid or don't reach out to a kid, I consider them civilians, and I don't really want to talk to those people.
Okay. What say you, Miss Jenny?
Yeah, I think that kind of goes along with being the change that you want to see. And so, when he sees, a young guy walking around with his pants hanging down, then he's doing his due diligence by telling him to pull him up. As a woman, it's a little bit more difficult because for a guy, all he has to do is pick up the clothes that he already has on. While issue with women is that they don't have any clothes on, and so I can't tell them to pull your shirt down or pull your. So
Yeah,
Yep.
true.
that's another battlefield. But I love the sentiment, and I think that you should keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
in school, I
yeah.
do not speak to those girls. You will not be having a surviving Mr. Knox documentary fabricated. So I just have to let them. I
Yeah.
gotta let them. I gotta pray for them and let them go.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
yeah,
And that's sad that we've sort of have to acquiesce to the women because we're in this environment now where an interaction you have could go awry or be misinterpreted as something else when all you're trying to do is help the youngster out, help
but I
the
think the natural order too is the sisters need to talk to the girls. We talk to the because that's how it used to be. Like everybody don't need to talk to everybody. Like the men need to police the boys up, and the women need to hey, young lady,
The
hey,
problem is though, what I see with the women is that they're still in competition with each other, like the older
right,
ones.
right, and
So you
so
don't see that mentorship because they're still competing to get the same guy.
yeah, and
So
it's just
that's the crazy part because it's like, golly, it's a lose-lose situation. So it's almost like, dang, you have to employ a hands-off approach or kind of just, I don't know. I mean, I thank God for platforms like this where we can openly discuss these things. But in real life, when you see, a woman with 4 or 5 kids and one of the kids ain't got no shoes on, snotty and all that, and I see all that, a lot of that in Walmart. But uh, you can't say nothing. I mean, what can you say?
yeah, yeah. That's a bigger issue, than you
It's
can
a
deal with at
huge
the
issue.
moment. Um,
The last thing I wanted to talk about real quick is what you think about do you think it's black, you think another one of these contributing factors to uh-oh. Oh, you think another one of the lowest common denominators that the black community is overall defined by is our willingness to accept the LGBT community and align ourselves with that?
that's hmm. You asking me?
Miss Jenny, you can go first, and then Tyrone,
Yeah,
I'll let you gather your
yeah,
thoughts.
yeah. Go ahead, Miss Jenny.
I would actually say that that's one of the few things I would say that the Black community has right is the fact that we are still not on board fully with that queer stuff, and there's still a sizable portion of us that give a good amount of pushback on it, and a lot of Black people they've kind of gone with the soft shoe approach of well I'm not going to condemn anybody, and if they just don't do it around me, then I guess it's okay. But still in our community, we still have that thing of no homo. If any guy says something that's kind of, what do you mean by that? Or
Pause or
yeah,
pause.
it's like,
Oh!
don't say
I clown my
no.
students so bad when they do that.
Right. And so
It's
that
terrible.
is symptomatic of the culture that is just not that is still not fully with all that. They still a Black guy still does not want to accidentally be confused for being queer, and so that's one of the few things that the Black community is still holding out on that is good, and that they're not just. I mean, Black women, on the other hand, Black women are folding to the queers, and that's a major downfall. But I feel like
Yeah.
Black men
Yep.
and probably Black people as a whole um, are still giving a good amount of pushback on it, and so that's in our favor.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Black people as a whole, we're still bucking at that. But yeah, like you said, black women are sort of, you know, uh, I would say I don't want to say 100% they support it. I would say mm, a large minority, if that even makes sense, a large percentage of black women support it.
Yeah, because
Um,
Saucy Santana is only famous by being propped up by Black women.
there you go.
Mm.
Oh my gosh, that thing, I can't even. All right, what's your thoughts, Mr. Tyrone?
So all right, so I'm more on the side. Um, it doesn't bother me. So I'm one of those people. It doesn't bother me as bad as it does some people. But I have, I feel like it's become. So I have a thing with movements. Okay, I don't like movements in general. Movements always go too far. All of them. At some point, they get corrupt and go too far. And I think they're at that point now. When I was growing up, it was okay to beat up gay. If somebody was gay, you could beat the hell out of them, and it was funny, and it was okay. You know, you know, I don't want to go back to that to that extreme. Um, but you know, it's kind of gotten to be like a religion almost.
Mm.
And if you speak against it, people attack you. I don't like that shit. You ain't gonna make me like say like call you something, or you're not gonna call me like I when we had one interaction where somebody was like, "Oh, you're a cis man." I was like, "Nah, I identify as a man," and
Sis,
nah,
man,
and
right?
it's like, and I just wasn't with that. I was like, "Don't do you." I'm a do you person when it comes to that because I feel like it's a super small population. It just doesn't really. I don't feel like it affects things as much as some people do. I may be
Mhm.
wrong. Um, Thoughts evolve on it, but um, and it just doesn't affect me as much. But I don't like the when they get too pushy with it. Like now, every movie, TV show has to have a graphic gay scene. I don't like that. When I'm watching Power, I don't. I'm like, I
Yes,
like the
yeah,
shooting. I like
it's
the
being
shooting action part. I'm like, hey, bro, what you doing? Hey, bro, what?
yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah,
what are you
no, you're
doing?
right though. It is.
Uh,
It's
yeah.
being foisted upon us. That's the issue. It's
I'm
like, look,
like,
if you're gonna do what you're
but
gonna do,
but
I don't shouldn't have to
but the
be.
great thing about streaming, I take that finger and I just and now we're out of there. But that's a
Yeah,
great thing about that. So
yeah,
I don't
I
watch
agree.
anything live anymore. So I just fast forward, and if my daughter sees, if I have a kid that's young that sees it, I just say they're gay,
They gay.
and
Yeah,
that's it. And keep it pushing. Because people, "Well, what are you going to do when your kids see it?" I'm be like, "Hey, they gay. They gay as hell. Look at that." All right. So,
yeah.
and me and mommy are not. All right. So
All
make your
right.
choice. I never had to choose whether to be gay or not. I knew I wasn't. As soon as I
Yeah.
saw the first set of thighs that developed when I was that age, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know what I am." Ever since.
Oh my gosh! All right, guys, we're gonna get ready to close this out. I appreciate y'all again for coming on. Um, so just real quick, like I said, I'm just gonna run through all the things that we talked about, and y'all just present, a possible viable solution for this, and in a concisely as possible. So the first one we talked about was the no snitching. Miss Jenny, I'm gonna go down the list with you first, and then Tyrone, I'll ask you, and then we close it out. So no,
All right.
no snitching. What do you think is a good alternative for that?
I think that if you see something, say something. Be a part of your local neighborhood watch. Be active in your community. And so strong communities help prevent things like that from happening in the first place. Because if people know that neighbors are looking out, neighbors are watching, people have video doorbells, people are not afraid to make something known, then they just won't do it in the first place. And so I think
Mm,
trying to prevent crime from happening is the best step.
absolutely. Glorifying criminality.
Um, the way
It's
to
a
get
good,
around
yeah,
that,
it's a good counter to that.
yeah, that's a little bit more difficult because, you know, it's being glorified in the music and in the media. So you can't just not listen to the music and media because other people are listening to it, and that's the problem. And
Mhm.
so I guess, it all depends on, the reach that you have. And so, if I have family members or if anyone I know is listening to something like that, then I'll ask them why they're listening to that and um, see what they think about that and try to get an idea so I can show to them like, this is corrupting your mind, this is polluting your mind, you know, do you really think it's okay to kill somebody? Do you really think it's good to pop Percocets? Do you really think that it's good to take drugs recreationally? Like, don't you know what it's going to do to your body? What it'll do, to your job, prospects, things like that. Just try to speak to them with reason.
Okay. Um, the children out of wedlock. I know that's a little dicey, but if you can, what do you think is a viable solution for that issue?
So for that one, that's easy to me. It's just that don't do that. And so I never wanted to be a single mom. I don't like the single mom epidemic that's happening. And so I got married at 22, and I'm gonna have all of my children by one man, and that man is gonna be my husband.
There you go.
Hey.
There you go. All right, and lastly, no, the idea of no shame. What do you think we should do in that regard?
I think that Shane needs to make a full comeback. Justin Timberlake said that he was bringing sexy back, and so somebody needs to bring Shane back. And so that's where I stand on it. I think that shame is healthy. I think that shame is a part of tough love. And so, we're not doing anybody any favors by, just watching them walk off a cliff. And so there's constantly new people coming up. There's new generations that are being forged. And so they need to know where the landmines are. And it might come across as abrasive, but it's for their best interest and it's for their own good.
Interesting. All right, Mr. Tyrone. No snitching. What's a viable solution to that, or alternative?
No snitching. More ring cameras. I'm sending my footage to the police in a heartbeat. Okay, so I'm just not taking part of that shit. So, and plus, and let people know that the criminals are snitching on each other by the dozens. It's not real. When they
Yeah.
get you in that room with no windows, you gonna snitch.
First 48. They always do.
Always. So
Always.
it's not even a real thing.
All right. The glorifying of criminality.
More RICO cases,
Ooh.
and then point out the people getting their ass locked up in the RICO cases to the kids. And now maybe we can see that this is not a good thing.
Mm. So, like, use that as a teaching tool.
I pointed out in my class. I'm like, yeah, y'all think this is what really happens when you do all that killing. This is what happens.
All right.
Yeah.
The children out of wedlock. What do you think we should do about that?
We need to bring back discipline within the Black community. Sexual discipline needs to be a thing. People talk about waiting for marriage like it's impossible or just waiting. I think that needs to come back and be more proven thing rather than this anything goes and
Are you referring to just like abstinence? No sex, premarital sex before marriage?
not necessarily marriage, but just waiting. Slow the hell down. Don't be like casual sex is dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not
It is. It is.
and you don't have to. Nobody dies from not having sex. Look at the emergency room laws. You won't see it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet, man. Lastly, no shame. Or the removing of the shame. How do you think we should reconcile for that?
Um, shame, it's just shame is just accountability. It needs to come back to, hey, hold each other accountable. You know,
Mhm.
and I think it'll it'll make a change. It's a pendulum. I don't want to go to Handmaid's Tale and we're, you know, walking people
Scarlet
down the,
Scarlet Letter.
scarlet lettering. Again, movements are pendulum. So now we're on one end. You need to push that son of a bitch back over here, and if that gets crazy, then we'll come back, try to get back in the middle somewhere. But
Mhm.
right now, we're on the wrong side of that pendulum.
Mm. Interesting. Well, guys, this has been very enlightening. I appreciate you guys. I am humbly grateful that you guys came on here to expound on these topics and give a little bit more insight. into these matters for our viewing audience. And Tyrone, I definitely got to have you back on. Miss Jenny, you already know you are a blessing every time you come on. I just got to have you guys back on. I really appreciate it. Uh, hey, plug in your socials so everyone can find you and get a hold of you guys.
Yeah, so you can find me on The Experience YouTube channel, The Experience. We do similar topics, Black culture, relationships, and we try to keep it sexy and mature. You know.
All right. All right, brother. Miss Jenny.
Yeah, you can find me here and on Instagram at Mrs. Jenny R. Jones, and I talk about Christianity, fundamental Christianity, and just topics that are going on through that lens. And I go live on Fridays at 8 o'clock, so you can catch me over there.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
and we're live on Wednesdays at 9.
Wednesdays at 9.
Yeah.
Dope, dope, dope. All right. You know what? Y'all got to invite me to y'all panels. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
absolutely. That's what I'm saying. You got to. I need you on there because we need some. I need some different perspectives because everybody. I don't like people agreeing. I need a
Yeah,
little.
yeah. I
I
know.
need a little smoke. Need a little smoke.
Well, yeah, we don't them echo chambers. We don't do the echo chambers. No, I appreciate it,
Yeah.
man. And anytime, man, just let me know.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys in the chat for following along. I know we went into the weeds a little bit, but I think it was all necessary. I think everything that was covered tonight certainly had to be said. And you guys are great, and I appreciate you. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps next Tuesday, I think we're gonna have another show, and I will see you all then. All right. Until next
All right.
time, I'll catch you on the next episode. Holla at me. Peace.